Hey everyone, so I'm back with another review, and this time I'm talking about Lyric Woman from the House of Amouage. The bottle that I own is a liter batch, as you can tell from the magnetic cap. The bottle itself is quite nice. It's made out of glass. It is transparent, but it comes in a darker bottle, which helps with helping to protect the juice a little bit. And the cap is quite nice as well. Really good quality bottle. And the juice inside, the actual scent itself, is one of the fragrances that I've tried in my lifetime that really left a massive impression on me. Lyric Woman was released in 2008 along with the male counterpart of this, and it was released under the direction of Christopher Chong. He was the creative director for a fairly long time with Amouage, and I believe he was made director about a year before this was released. So this was one of the earlier fragrances that came out under his direction. Lyric Woman has a special place in my heart because it is one of the first ones I've tried from this house. I remember being really taken with it. There is something quite unique about this fragrance. Lyric Woman is an example of what I'd like to call an orchestral type of composition. There is so much going on in this fragrance. You could tell that there are a lot of different complex scents that have gone into this fragrance. There is a mix of different things, and I like that every time I smell it, there's something new that I get from it. There's something that kind of surprises me throughout the development. And I like that it doesn't stay static. It always changes on my skin, at least. When I first spray it, I get a lot of spices, which is very pleasant. I really like the zinginess of the ginger. There's this aromatic quality from the cardamom as well. But even though I can kind of detect the individual spices, they really blend in together really well. And it kind of makes this spicy concoction that opens up my sinuses, and it just makes me want to take this really deep, long breath. As it changes, it does develop into a more floral fragrance. So the thing that I find interesting about this is that it, to me, doesn't really fit under one category. There's so many things going on in this. So while it starts off as a very spicy fragrance, I get a lot more florals as it kind of dries down. And that happens within a matter of minutes of spraying it onto my skin. The florals that are in this is almost dried up in a way, but it's like you get a lot of different flowers all at once. The rose, which I thought was the primary note that I'm supposed to get from this, after kind of reading descriptions about it before I tried it, it is more in the background at first. When I first smell the florals, I get a lot more ylang ylang. There's like a creaminess and butteriness that I get from that note. There's also other florals as well that aren't really distinct. But when it gets into the rose, it definitely smells like a dried up rose where it's kind of blackened and pulverized. And I say that because there is a powdery quality to this. But the powderiness isn't like something I would normally get from an iris type of fragrance or sometimes from aldehydes. It does give me this image of these dried rose petals that have darkened over time and that have been powderized. So that's kind of like the texture that I'm feeling and smelling from this fragrance. There's also something kind of off about it too as it develops even further. About a half hour in, it kind of gives this impression of really ripened, almost on the verge of rotting fruit. There is something about it that gives this impression of something possibly growing. So I know that does sound disgusting, and in a way that is an ugly side of this fragrance that might not appeal to a lot of people. But it's one of those things where it's so wrong, but that's what makes this fragrance right. Because of the way that it gives me that feeling of something off and something wrong, I kind of see this fragrance as being somewhat surreal. I have mentioned a scene from Mulholland Drive. I don't want to say it again because I don't want to spoil that movie for people who have not seen it, but that is a pretty surreal movie throughout. It's directed by David Lynch, so that shouldn't be a surprise. But there is something about this because of how dark it is and how subversive it is, it does remind me of some of the surreal scenes from that movie. And when you think that the development stops there, it just turns into something a little bit different. It turns deeper and even more mysterious. It's as if you are falling into this deep pit, this abyss, and you have no idea when you're going to stop falling. You don't know what's at the bottom of it. And to me, I get a lot of that darkness from this really rich green frankincense that runs through. And I get that, 2 hours in. It really adds a nice dimension to this. And because this brand is from Oman, I would suspect that they use high quality incense in this fragrance. It's also quite woody towards the end. And still though, it maintains the spiciness that I get at the beginning, as well as the dried rose petals and other florals. So everything that you kind of smell at the beginning kind of lasts a long time. This does stick on me for at least 8 hours. And throughout those 8 hours, I get a lot of the different notes. It's not like you're peeling off the different notes and you don't smell a lot of what you smell at the beginning anymore. So I like that it maintains a lot of what you get towards the beginning, while adding more and more of this dark richness. Now, who would like this fragrance? It's really hard to say. I would say if you're into cleaner fragrances that are non-offensive, and that you can just easily put on for work or in the office, this is not one that would appeal to you, I think. You should still try it out if it interests you, but just know that I think people have been disappointed when they try this because it is quite weird. No matter what gender you identify as, I think this might appeal to you if you are into more of the vintage smelling fragrances, especially ones that had fruit in them, and spices. And some of the older fragrances kind of have something off about them. If you like that type of smell, this might appeal to you, though keep in mind that this smells more contemporary compared to those vintage fragrances. There is something a little bit old-fashioned about this in a way, and I think that's why a lot of people have been disappointed when trying this out. Even though it is quite strange, I do enjoy wearing this fragrance out. I don't feel self-conscious when I wear it in public. I have worn this on date nights. My husband luckily enjoys how it wears on me, or how it smells like on me. I think it really suits the colder months quite well. I don't find it to fall flat during the colder months, though I have also sprayed it in the summer months and it actually blooms in the heat quite well. So I do like how it smells year round, but in terms of a date night fragrance, I like wearing it in the colder months. Wearing it in public, I have not gotten negative feedback from my husband or anyone that I've talked to. They could be just keeping it to themselves, but there's something about this fragrance that actually makes me feel confident in myself. And I don't feel like I stink when I wear it, even though when you're smelling it up close, you get a lot of the nuances that can be off-putting. So, to keep that in mind when you're wearing it. But to me, when I wear it and I smell the sillage of it and you smell it in the air, it really does smell quite elegant. It smells a little bit more refined compared to smelling it closely on a strip or on your arm. So yes, I love this fragrance. Obviously, I bought the bottle and I'm planning to keep it in my collection forever. I did buy it, not for the full retail price. I found it on Fragrance Set, and sometimes they carry it there. So I would recommend that you don't buy it for the full price, but that's my opinion on that. But yeah, it's one that I feel like I would own for the rest of my life because of how much of an effect it had on me. And it is quite a unique fragrance. I love that it makes me feel confident, and I love how it smells. There's something magical about the way it smells to me. But that being said, I wouldn't recommend it to anyone. You should definitely test it out and just prepare yourself for disappointment if you're the type of person who is into cleaner type of scents. So keep that in mind. So that was my review of this fragrance. I hope you enjoyed it. And let me know if you've tried this fragrance and share your thoughts in the comments below. I'll see you next time.